baby.
94 questions.
Really? Probably, to be perfectly honest with you, it was probably Archie comics. I was probably reading Archie were the first comics that I ever read. Yeah.
So when have you made a decision to actually draw comics?
It was. I read comics when I was much younger, a young child. But I think I thought that they were maybe more for children at that time. You know, I was reading superhero comics as well when I was a teenager, a young teenager probably. And then I just, I lived in a small town, so I couldn't find comics in my town, so I had to go to the next town over where my grandmother lived. So when I go to visit her, I would buy comics, but they weren't readily available to me. So anyhow, young teenager, I probably stopped reading comics altogether. And honestly, I kept up my interest in art. I thought maybe I would be more like an illustrator, like in a magazine. I know there was an illustrator, Brad Holland, at that time, who I thought was great, and I wanted to be somebody like him. But I knew I wanted to draw, and I went to art school. And when I was in art school, I hadn't been exposed to comics in years. I met this other student who was drawing a black and white comic book, and my brain just kind of went like, here's comics, but it's different comics. It's not really
for children.
Yeah. So it reignited my love of comics, and then I thought that was something that I would want to do. After that.
Something like that was with the Ninja Turtles for me. I read the Archie comics, and when it was black and white comics, so my hobby is growing up like me.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so interested in it until now.
I've tried several ways to get comics out to the public. There was a series I wrote a couple of years ago called The Sordid Land. And I wrote it as a long story, kind of an epic, I guess you'd say. I think it's around 130 pages, something like that. And I tried releasing it online. Some of it still isn't there, of course, but only a few pages a week. And I got into it maybe 50 pages. Beyond 50, I probably have another 20 pages done, which have never been posted, and then the rest of the art doesn't exist yet. So I guess you could say only half of that comic has ever been published, only online. There have been comics that, I guess that we talked about that replacement of, is it TMNT 7, Arseny? That never got published in America.
Yes.
I think it's only here in Russia and Spain.
Remake of meeting between Ninja Turtles and Ronette.
Yeah. And other than that, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. I haven't. A lot of people have given me their work. I haven't really talked to anybody about collaborating on any books or anything. I want to go home and look through a lot of the materials that I was given at the show. I haven't really had time to do that while I'm here. And I just have to say that the quality of the work overall I've seen from these people is just extraordinary. And I think it would be great, now that it seems like I have an opportunity to meet these people, and I've been here, that maybe we could work together. I don't have anyone specifically, but yeah.
Did you have a chance to see and observe these Russian comics from the 90s?
Russian Ninja Turtles.
Russian Ninja Turtles, and a bear with a ball-like machine gun.
Yeah.
All these kind of things.
That was some of the stuff that was given to me. I've got it in my bag in the hotel room. It's one of those things I'm going to take home. I don't think I'll be able to read it because it's all in Russian. But yeah, I'm aware of that. And
what do you think about it?
Honestly, I love that stuff. I assume it's unofficially licensed, so, but it's just the fans creating, using the turtles to create. I think that's wonderful, and I think we're all better off for it. When I get asked that question, I have to say that The Dark Knight by Frank Miller was huge for me. I was kind of...
No, the one in your career, your comics.
Oh, among my work?
Among yours.
Oh.
But this is also very interesting. This is also very interesting what has inspired you. So Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Frank Miller.
Yeah, I love that book. When I read it, I just couldn't believe how rich it was and how good it was. I was a Frank Miller fan earlier too, but like I said, I've been away from comics for a long time, so there was a lot of stuff going on I didn't know about. And when I got brought into Mirage Studios and met Kevin and Pete, they were kind of like showing me some of the cool stuff that was getting published. And when that book came out, it was it blew my mind. I couldn't put it down when I read it. I couldn't wait for the next issue to come out. It was extraordinary.
In your career?
I guess. I'm trying to think of as I slowly got one of my earliest works with Mirage Studios was working on the Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series with Ryan Brown. We would kind of alternate one issue, another issue, one issue I would write and draw another issue, Ryan. And, that was kind of my whole introduction into the turtle world and working with those characters. So that was huge. I guess related to that question, some people ask me which is one of my favorite turtle series I've worked on, and I usually answer the Blind Sight series. The Leonardo miniseries called Blind Sight was really important to me. I'd kind of drawn this from a writing standpoint and an artistic standpoint. I kind of had used this white silhouette style in some of my earlier work, and in that series I just thought visually it was so interesting and kind of approaching the artwork from a different standpoint, almost trying to design it as well as draw it. So having to design the pages, so many pages in that series, in that way was really, really fun for me and kind of caused me to think about drawing in a different way. I really love that book. Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember I would buy the Peanuts collections. I was a big Charles Schulz fan, and of course Calvin and Hobbes is probably, at least to me, the pinnacle of comics, like Sunday comics, I guess you'd call them. He was just the best, and I'm a big Breathed fan, Bloom County and Outland and stuff like that. I love him as well, but Watterson is he's a genius.
Have you met him?
No, I have not. Yeah. I've signed like a woman's breast, which is probably the. I remember my hand was shaking, shaking so hard I couldn't sign very well.
The left one or the right one?
Yeah, it was the right one. Yeah.
And what about Kathy?
Was she against it, or she didn't mind about it?
No, she's okay. I just did. There were some kind of strange ones. This was different for me because fans would come up to me, ask me to do them a quick sketch or a detailed sketch, and they would say, tell me what they wanted. And one of the ones I always remember, they wanted Casey Jones with a frying pan, and Krang. Krang was in the frying pan, and Casey Jones was frying him. That was an odd one.
On the big fest, yes?
Yeah, on the big fest. Yeah.
And back in the USA?
I'm trying to think. I generally get pretty normal commissions. Boy, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything too funny. I'm kind of funny with my commissions because I'll kind of draw anything, pretty much anything people ask me to, within limits. Nothing too dirty or violent. Which is kind of funny because Mike Dooney, also a guy in the studio, he'll only draw certain stuff, but I think it's kind of fun to be able to draw things that perhaps you wouldn't normally. I kind of enjoy doing that. Oh man, back in the States. It's funny. I've never even been asked to draw like a topless April or anything like that. Sometimes you get strange stuff like that. Nothing too weird I can think of. Yeah.
So did you ever think about Ninja Turtles that maybe not?
Well,
when you first heard about them, especially.
That's a really interesting question. Back in Volume 2, I kind of thought I knew when I was handling a lot of the writing or the scripting. I had ideas about what Kevin and Pete probably would want, and so I was kind of careful at that time not to make too many changes to the characters. I can tell you that this. What was that book, Arseny, that IDW just came out with? I did the short story for, was that the 30th anniversary?
30th anniversary.
Yeah, I did a short story for that.
So special.
It's funny, it wasn't the first story I pitched to them. My first idea was that the Ninja Turtles were out one night in the city, and they find a dead body in the river, floating, a person's body, and Michelangelo, I think the other turtles were mad at him, so they said, "You stay with the body, and we'll go try to get the attention of the police and cause them to follow them back to the river so they could discover the body. You stay with the body." So they leave, and Michelangelo kind of goes through this whole thing. You don't know if it's quite real. The body kind of begins talking, and Michelangelo is wondering, what happened to cause this person to die in the river? Did they jump off? There's a bridge. Did they kill themselves, or did somebody murder them? And go through a strange kind of interaction and story with this dead body. And when I pitched it to IDW, they said no, it was too dark, and they said they wouldn't go for that story. Yeah. In my house, I have 3 sons, and they're all, adults. So they are in charge of the TV. So whatever they watch is what I watch. I don't really watch anything for myself. One thing I agree on with the kids is we watch The Walking Dead. So that's a series I do watch.
Game of Thrones?
Yeah. No. I've only seen the first episode of that show.
Breaking Bad?
No, never seen Breaking Bad.
House of Cards?
Now, House of Cards, my wife watches that. And I was telling these guys, when we came to Russia, I'd never seen House of Cards. And then we got here to the hotel room, and there's no English TV at all. Everything is in Russian. So she downloaded Netflix on the iPad, and she's watching her House of Cards. So when I can, I go watch it with her, and now I'm into that series, and I like watching that show. Everyone is so evil and crazy and mean, and now every time I'm going to watch American politics, I'm going to think that the president is a murderer and everyone's a bad guy.
Do you have a favorite president?
I liked Barack Obama. I thought he was a really good president. He seemed like a very thoughtful, intelligent man. Seemed like he loved his family, and he had a beautiful wife and beautiful daughters, and I thought he was great. Kathy too, my wife, she liked him very much. I was sad to see him go. It's funny, my family though, my mother and my 2 sisters, big time Republicans, so they don't like Obama. Now they have Trump, so I think they're very happy about that, and it makes me crazy because I I think he is not a nice man. I think he's a crook, and
He's a businessman.
yeah, he's a businessman.
Do you think art depends on politics? And have you ever actually been censored or felt like everything going through censorship? Something is going through censorship.
I guess to me personally, I have not been affected by anything like that. I'm certain there is cases like that where certain things aren't allowed or too controversial. So there probably is a relationship there. I guess that kind of. I once drew a turtle punching Donald Trump. Did you see that, Arseny? Did you see the
Yes.
turtle punching Donald Trump?
Yes.
Yeah, that was okay though. That's not too bad.
So you were not sent into prison.
I don't know.
What do you think would happen to you if you draw a turtle punching Mr. Putin?
Yeah, what would happen? I mean, that's a really good question. It's funny visiting here. It's funny. I see like silly pictures of Putin, and I wasn't aware you could get away with that. Him. I've been like talking to my wife about like walking around. Everything seems very normal, and people going about their lives and walking around. But I don't have a sense of like how much freedom, like total freedom, or is it total freedom, or what can you get away with, or we just had a comedian in America, Kathy Griffin, with a picture of Trump's head cut off, and the head was all bloody, and it seemed like she lost business, some sponsors, and to do some shows, and even in America, there is a price to pay sometimes if you are too controversial. I mean, freedom of speech. Of course, she's allowed to say that, but say what she wants to. But there sometimes can be a price. Yeah, if I drew a turtle with Donald Trump's head cut off with blood, that might not be so good. Yeah.
Your style of drawing, it has changed and progressed through the years and through the stories. Was it by accident? Was it, let's say, in purpose? Was it evolution? What was it? Like, why did you do that?
Yeah, I would say mostly it's like evolution. I think my art is always changing. I don't know why. I draw a lot, and it's hard to explain. My old artwork just doesn't look like the way I draw now, and I think my artwork has been maybe a little controversial, maybe a little outside the standard, maybe. I don't even know if that's the right word, but I remember there was a time when I was drawing the Turtle comics, and I know a lot of fans don't like the way I draw. And I would sometimes go on a forum or get a letter, saying, why do you draw, so poorly? Why do you draw badly? This isn't wrong, or the way you draw hands, or the way you draw a head, or it's I just don't like it. And there was one time I remember where I got a letter, and it was a really hard letter for me to read. Very critical, and I kind of thought about it a lot. It's funny how you think about the bad things more than the good things sometimes, and I thought I would maybe try to change and be better. I mean, I'm always trying to be better, but maybe I would do something different. And then I kind of thought about it, and the way I draw, it seems like when you're an artist, it's very, very personal. Your art is very personal. And to try and change that felt wrong to me. So in the end, after thinking about it for a while, I just decided to keep drawing the way I have been drawing, and to try and be better, but to stay true and kind of like follow my path that I had. And so I kind of can just continue to do what I was doing and hope that people like it. And some people like it and some people don't. I still hear criticisms about the way I draw women and stuff like that. But yeah, it's funny. I used to draw these giant squishy turtles, and now everything is kind of like very thick lines and hard edges. I don't know why I do that. I wasn't purposely going for that look, but it's just evolved. Yeah.
Do you draw? I saw you were drawing animals. Do you draw a lot of like motorcycles and things that you actually like?
Yeah, there are different things I draw. I do draw motorcycles. I've gotten drawing jobs to do like T-shirts of motorcycles. So it's a very kind of, I don't have one with me. I wish I'd worn one, but kind of a representational style of art. I'll even blow up a photograph on the machine and then light table. Sometimes the way I do it is blow it up, the picture, and then I'll like light table it, and then take it off the light table and then redraw it, to change a few things to make it look more like an art drawing. And I do drawings of animals. One very recent one I did was of my mother's cat, Diego. I took my sister gave me a photograph, and I would just like look at the photograph and freehand draw it. But it's in, once again, a very realistic kind of representational style. So I do that, not very much, but yeah.
So in one of the first episodes in the Turtle Ninja cartoons, in the Russian translation, Shredder offers the turtles to
collaboration.
Collaborate to do something together.
He wants to work together with the turtles.
One of the first episodes when we just came in the Technodrome first time.
And so the translation is?
Russian translation is Рафаэль отвечает, а жареных гвоздей не хочешь?
Do you want fried nails?
Fried nails?
Yes. Это был очень вольный перевод.
It was just freely given translation, just a very...
Здесь даже больше не сам вопрос важен, а реакция Джима Лоусона на жареные гвозди.
So what do you think about fried nails?
What's fried nails? Because nails are, when you...
Yes, nails is...
Yeah, hammer and nails, yeah, you build... I don't know anything about fried nails. Maybe it's some kind of joke, like he wants to make him eat nails and
fried alien.
Cut all the inside of his mouth. I don't know. What did Raphael say?
Ну, Рафаэль ответил, что...
Yeah, Raphael told Shredder.
You want fried nails?
So, instead of collaboration.
Yeah. To tell you to be truthful, I haven't read a lot of the IDW comics. I haven't been following that. Although everyone I talk to when I go to a comic book show, I ask them how those comics are, and they always say they're really good. So, but I haven't seen them. I know of them. I have seen occasionally some of the artwork from the books. Matteo Santalupo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, wow. I love his stuff. He's amazing.
He designed this chapter.
Yeah.
He came here to Saint-Petersburg last year on a big festival also.
Yeah, he's so very good. He's my favorite turtle artist.
Do you remember the word for Soviet donuts?
No.
Pushkin.
Pushkin, gun, right?
Pushkin is our everything.
Oh.
Pushkin is a poet.
Mm.
Pushki is a...
Pishki, what's gun?
Pushki. No, gun is Pushki.
Pushki.
Mr. Lawson, it is known that the first turtle appeared more than 220 million years ago. Odontochelys cimatistica, whatever. Despite the fact that the conventionally ancestors of turtles are Permian Cotylosaurus, lizards with wide ribs that form some kinds of dorsal shield, the question of their origin is still considered on the agenda. Let me ask, do you have a desire, Mr. Lawson, to reveal this question in your future new work with working title Paleo Volume 2, for example.
Wow. I hate questions like that. You know, I did paleo, and my biggest worry was I would get something wrong. I put the wrong number of toes on a dinosaur, or I'd get the time period wrong. These things are very hard, and people are serious about this stuff. So that was one of my big concerns. As for this, the first earliest turtle, oh man. I think I did a book called A Walk Through Dinosaur Land, which was a quick comic history of dinosaur evolution. And I did have some early turtles in there. Actually, the asker's question about this species of turtle, you know, I don't know a lot about that kind of stuff. You know, I'm not super serious dinosaur lover to know the answer to this question, or if it's something I feel I need to address in Paleo Volume 2. It's something to think about though, so thank you. You know, it's funny, back in America, I did a children's book called Dinosaur Head Cat. And this little boy, he hears a noise, he goes into the backyard, and he finds this creature. It looks like a cat's body with kind of a dinosaur head on it, and he chases dragonflies and eats dragonflies. And so he and the boy become friends, and the boy wants him to be his pet, so he takes him home to meet his mother. And the mother at first doesn't like the dinosaur head cat, but then she learns to love the dinosaur head cat. And so I've already thought about this thing, and I've already combined them, so I've taken care of it. It's all set. Dinosaur head cat. I would love to draw a story about Ghost Rider. That was one of my, of course I love motorcycles. That was one of my favorite comics when I was a kid, and it's funny, I've tried to draw them a few times, and the way I draw them doesn't look too good, I don't think, so I have to maybe more practice. But I would love to do a story with that character. And now he doesn't even ride a motorcycle anymore, right? He drives a car now. I don't like that. Yeah, that's no good.
And in the States, I purchased comics about Mad Max. What do you think about drawing comics about Mad Max?
I would love to do a Mad Max comic. That's one of, you know, living your life on the road and, you know, having to fight for fuel.
All of your love.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love Mad Max. I would certainly
Would you like to draw a movie poster for Mad Max?
Yes, I would. I would love to do that.
Great.
Yeah. It was, this show was amazing. I guess I didn't know quite what to expect. I only have my ideas of American comic book shows, conventions, to go on when I came here, and I think that's what I had in my mind this would be like. And it wasn't like that. It was so much beyond. It was, I used the word maybe soul. There was more soul. The people, the fans were amazing. The place where the big festival was amazing. The weather was amazing. So artistic and creative. It was truly probably the best show I have ever been to in my whole life, and something that I won't forget for a very long time. And beyond the show itself, Kathy and I came here a few days early. We've stayed almost a week past the show. At first we were like, well, maybe we stay too long. It might be too many days. Will there be enough to do? Will we get homesick and lonely to go back? And it hasn't happened at all. We've been very busy every day. We've seen beautiful sights. We've hung out with wonderful, generous people who love to laugh and drink beer, and no part of it has ever been boring. The whole entire time here has been wonderful, and the city's been beautiful. So it's been an amazing experience. Yeah, we've loved it every minute.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We love you too.
Will you be back?
I would love to come back. Yes, yeah.
And your sons?
Yeah, I want to bring my sons here. I think it would be terrific for them to because they've never seen another culture outside of U.S. You know, and here is amazing. Yeah, I would love them. You know, I keep telling Kathy like you know, the invitation to come here, and she was like, "Is this someplace you would ever come? You know, if you were to go on a vacation or something?" And me, my answer is, you know, people go to London, they go to Paris, you know, maybe they go to, I don't know, Brussels or someplace. You know, these are kind of like, I think, more normal tourist places, but I don't know, I've only talked to one other person that's been to Russia, and to me, I like going places that are maybe a little unusual or off the beaten path is what we say, or maybe you wouldn't think of first or second thought to go away, to be on a vacation to. And so someplace like this is something I would love to do, but it would be a brave thing. I don't know if I could like think like, yeah, what's Russia? Is it kind of scary, you know? Do they like America? Do they not like it? I don't know some of these things, but I'm so glad I've been here.
So you're not afraid to go above Arctic Circle now and come to Murmansk?
No, that's easy. I'll go there.
It's easy.
Sure, yeah.
So you're welcome in Murmansk also. So,
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks. Hey.
Bye bye.
just
Bye bye.